Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. It's mini day. I'm releasing two minis this week, one today on Wednesday the 30th and one on Thursday the 31st. And then, of course, Friday is going to be Friday Pendulum. Please don't forget to ask your questions for the pendulum in the comment section below. Alrighty. Um, there have also been some questions with regards to Canadian/Alberta politics regarding the pendulum, and I will be including those on Friday, just for those of you who have asked the questions and they've sort of gone by the wayside. So, in view of kind of the crazy, my minis today, I think I'm going to channel, supposed to use cards, and I will give you a heads up. Today's mini is about gun violence in America and from spirit's perspective, how we deal with and cope with that. And tomorrow's mini is going to be about literally whether or not democracy can be saved in the United States. That is also going to be a channeled message. So let's get started, shall we? First of all, thank you so much for being here, your support, new subscribers, all of it. I'm just so incredibly grateful. So thank you so much for that. Alrighty, now, Spirit, what can be done? How does the United States resolve the ongoing and apparently increasing um, acts of violence, particularly those with guns? There seem to be more racial inspired shootings going on. It's just, on Monday, you had the Chapel Hill thing, you had it just doesn't seem to stop. Spirit, what is the solution? How do we get this fixed? Okay, so they're saying, so without getting ridiculously political about this, the problem stems from the Second Amendment and the way that it was written into the US Constitution. Over time, it has been really misconstrued and twisted. What was supposed to be a way for the government to be able to call up sort of reserves and to help the government has now become weaponized to the point where certainly a lot of the current militias, their focus is being against the government. You also have the situation with far and away too many politicians, particularly, of course, from red states, who are being paid or supported by the NRA. And that obviously compounds and creates a problem because if if one of your big donors is the NRA, the last thing you're going to do is jump up and start complaining about the gun violence. And it's become ridiculous. They now have guns that are being marketed to young children. They're lightweight and they're easy for little hands to hold. This kind of stuff is insanity. Spirit wants you to know that this is not a unresolvable issue. But what it is going to take is it is going to take a focus energy on getting that message through to the lawmakers, whether that is in individual states or federally, that this has to stop. The youth of today live in a constant state of anxiety because in many ways, they are so much more aware of the instances of gun violence and the dangers of gun violence than some of us older folk are, because we didn't really live with it to the degree that certainly, young people do. I mean, They go to school and they learn about, lockdowns and dangerous situations and active shooters at incredibly young ages. And this is creating an ongoing sense of anxiety and trauma within these children. But where you're going to see this really start to shift is as, again, the younger people of America start to get to voting age, and they start really, really putting down, the hammer on people who choose not to do anything about gun laws. And understand, it's not that anybody, in any democratic country wants to completely restrict gun use, but it needs to be regulated. It needs to be sensible. Let's remember one of the first thing that Donald Trump did when he got into office was he, I guess, revoked a law that had been put on the books saying that people who were mentally dangerous shouldn't have guns. And he said, no, that's fine. Let them have it. Let them have them. It's ridiculous. But the younger people who have been exposed to the ongoing trauma, in many ways, they are the salvation. Now, that does not mean that others do not need to be involved and make their voices heard because, one of the things that you have probably started to realize in politics, but especially in US politics, is that the loudest voice gets the attention. And right now, the loudest voice is MAGA. Right now, the loudest voice are that group of 10, 15, maybe 20 million Americans who are so entrenched in their ways. And if the government says the sky is blue, they're going to take up arms and scream and yell that it's pink. So it is important that everybody rally around the understanding that this is something that needs to be controlled and implemented from grassroots. You have incredible young people who are doing amazing work at keeping this at the forefront, but they need support from all age groups, from all demographics, from all states. It is sort of a misunderstanding to think that just because a state is considered red, that there aren't independents and there aren't, left-leaning Democrats in that state. They also have an obligation to lift and join their voices up so that it becomes the loudest voice. The loudest voice is what gets heard and, frankly, what gets acted on. Now, we will grant you that there are some people in red states who live in such a news bubble that they don't and won't get the message, or the message will be so twisted it isn't going to bear any resemblance to reality. But having said that, it is the will of the people that will bring this situation into correction. They're showing me the number 2030, and they're saying around that time is where you're going to see. Okay, between now and 2030, there's going to be more and more measures enacted, put into law to try to, bring this situation under control and keep guns out of the hands of dangerous people. But by 2030, they're showing me, it looks like there's going to be almost some sort of it's like an amendment to the Second Amendment. I'm not sure how one does that legally or politically, but they're saying that there's going to be clarity that is gained in terms of what the Second Amendment meant those years ago and how it is now to be interpreted going forward. And what that will do is that will take a lot of the, that will put restrictions on people who are buying weapons, particularly assault type weapons, in anger or rage. No one's saying that, people of the South who've hunted for, generations can't keep doing that. That's not what that Second Amendment was ever about. And it's important that the two don't get like twisted up. So, yes, there is light at the end of the tunnel. It is coming. But make no mistake, it is incumbent on all people, not just the young ones, but all people, to join their voices. It is an interesting phenomenon that people who are in the right tend to walk softly and speak more softly. And I don't mean right wing, I mean in the right, doing the right thing, going in the right direction. And their voices need to become amplified. So that becomes the message. Okay, so I hope that's helpful. I hope that people understand that, like everything else in life, we each collectively and independently are responsible for the choices that are made by us and in our names. And we need to start putting our foot down. All right. Thank you so much for being here for today's mini, and I will look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye bye.